When you're addicted to watching dogs eat. Now hold on, all right? Let me just say this, okay? It's not like I'm, you know, it's not like I'm physically like feeding my dog and watching them like eat. Even though that is kind of like I mean, I do feed my dog, but it's just more so like there's this guy on Instagram and I don't know his name, I forget his name, but he feeds his dog like his dogs um an all raw diet. Basically meaning that like he doesn't give them like cooked chicken. He'll give them like a whole chicken and it'll be raw, completely raw. And at first I was like, oh, that's kind of, I didn't think it would be, I didn't think that was healthy. I thought that, I mean, not that it wouldn't be healthy. Dogs, wolves, or other, dog like creatures eat raw foods. It was just more so like, I didn't really think that would be quote unquote appetizing. I didn't think that would be as delicious. And then after watching it a few times, I was kind of like, why am I like it sounds pretty satisfying when the dog starts eating and like crunching the bones of like a chicken wing and stuff like that, duck wing and whatever else they eat. Like it's pretty satisfying to watch. And I've recently just been like, what is going on with this? You know what I'm saying? And I saw another video of somebody else doing the same thing, and they fed their dogs like duck heads, and the whole time I was watching it, it looked like the ducks were looking at me the whole time, like I'm the one that killed them, and I'm feeding them to the dog. And that one was a little bit too much. This guy, he doesn't do that. He doesn't feed them like duck heads. So, anyways, I've just been recently addicted to that, and I thought that that was, just a different way, a different style of, feeding your dogs, of what dogs can eat or what's available. And I really like the way that he kind of explains like it's good for their gut health, it's good for their teeth, it's good for their it's good for protein, it makes them strong, it does all these various things, and he has like the science to back it up. And I was really kind of, I mean, I was, what's the right word, I had just never seen anything like that before, and the way he does it is pretty, stylistically it's pretty cool. I like the way that he feeds his dogs, or the way he treats them or takes care of them and whatnot, and like what they do and don't eat and stuff. Like I thought it was funny because one of the dogs, I forget all of the dogs names, but one of them was eating like they'll eat like a gooseneck, right? They'll eat like this huge gooseneck, and they'll chomp through the bones, like chomp through it, and then they'll take like the the guy will add like cucumbers to the plate, to like the tray or whatever, and the dog will eat the cucumber and take longer to eat the cucumber. So it'll eat like a bone of gooseneck in like 3 seconds, like you know what I mean? Swallow. And then the cucumber, it was like, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was also particularly funny. I thought that was a pretty, I don't know. I thought that that was kind of random and like, oh snap, like why is it harder for it to chew or to eat a cucumber than it is for it to eat dog bones? I thought that was kind of funny. And then just watching them eat like it's satisfying to watch them like lick the tray completely clean, just because it feels like, yeah, you know what I mean, like they're really digging in. um and it's also kind of like cool to see them do like what's it called, they'll do, the guy will add like a strawberry or a bell pepper, and some dogs will like it, some won't, you know what I'm saying. And he'll do like a variety of like ground or minces. So he'll do like a turkey mince, he'll do like a lamb mince, he'll do like a chicken mince, he'll do like a beef mince, and the dogs usually always attack that one. That's like the starting gourmet like feast. Like they'll eat that in like 2 seconds, and that's kind of like part of the satisfaction of it is watching the dogs eat it in like quick time. Like as long as I've been recording now, they'll definitely finish something. You know what I mean? And probably faster as well. You know, the videos are like 1 minute long, so however long that takes, or however long he posts it. But it's pretty cool, and I enjoy that. I enjoy watching it. So they'll go after the mints first, and the mints is really easy for them to like lift up and then to chomp and then not even really not even really chew, but just straight up swallow it, just engulf it into their mouths and just gulp, gulp, gulp. You know what I mean? Then they'll move on to the goose snack or like a duck wing or the they have raw chicken breast. They'll have like a raw chicken breast or something like that. And then they'll have like they'll put like a an egg on there. They'll put like broccoli or a cucumber or an apple or something else. Some sort of maybe blueberries as well. You know what I mean? They'll put like some duck wings. They'll put mackerel. They'll put the fish in there. And the fish are usually typically the last ones eaten. Not always. Like the so the dog will go for the mince first, more than likely, right? That's like at the top of what they'll usually get. Then they'll go to, let's say, a chicken drumstick, then a duck wing. Then they might have one of the chicken breasts or the salmon fillets or the mackerels. You know what I mean? Like they'll kind of go down the line, and then usually last are the vegetables or the fruit or whatever's left over. Oh, and they have like this. It's like a treat, but it was so weird the first time I saw it. It's a rabbit ear. It's like you know a dead rabbit's ear, and it'll be like a treat. And when I first was like, oh, that's kind of like, I guess the fur is kind of does something for the. It's a natural treat, or it does something for their gut health, or maybe it does something for. I don't remember the exact the terminology or like what benefits get from that, but I remember I was watching the dog eat it, and I was surprised at how crunchy it was. And it's become my new favorite. Like, I think that's probably out of all the things that he eats on the thing, on the plate. Obviously, the gooseneck and the bones and like the other stuff, like that's cool to hear. You know what I mean? For like any ASMR kind of like satisfying kind of like, oh, that's cool that they do that. You know what I mean? It's more so the rabbit ear. I don't know why. I just like the way it sounds. I never would have suspected that a rabbit ear would be so crunchy and you know what I mean. I like it. I like it, and they usually go through that pretty quickly or whatever. And then they'll eat like strawberries, maybe a banana. I don't remember if you fed them a banana. But anyways, I become addicted to watching these dogs eat it and seeing just how crazy their diets could be, or how like how much they consume on a to become so strong, so buff. And then when you see his dogs and how like buffed up they are and how strong they are, and all that stuff, like it's pretty crazy to think about. Like, oh snap, like that dog is crazy. And because they eat so much protein, they're so strong, they're so that I mean they're great dogs. You know what I mean? They're buff dogs. And I like that. I like seeing how he like takes care of his dogs, what he feeds them, and how he incorporates their diet into content. And also just like, hey, this is something that I do. You can try it too for you and your dogs if you have a similar dog or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that. I think that's pretty cool. There are some risks though, especially when it's like you're feeding them. I mean, especially when they're like engulfing their food, because I think one of his dogs choked on, like, he was feeding them like a whole chicken, and they started to choke on one of the bones, and he had to give it the Heimlich maneuver. And I was watching it, and I was like, he saved his dog, good story, heroic story. He saved his dog, but at the same time, I was kind of like, oh snap, I've never, I don't, I wouldn't know what to do in that situation, or like I'm not constantly monitoring my dog. But for the most part, my dog doesn't eat like more than it can chew, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, and then seeing the other dogs do it, or like seeing what other like you know options there are, or like seeing what dogs do and don't like, are very. Some dogs can be very particular, and other dogs can be very like, I'll eat anything. You know what I mean? And I think that's true for the most part. Dogs will eat just about anything you put on the plate or like on the tray for them. But there was the one time he fed it like a red bell pepper, and they didn't particularly like it, so they just kind of like dropped it, and then they tried it again. They dropped it, tried it again. So I don't know. And then I thought about like how that raw diet is like, you know, is it how much better, or how much what would his dogs think of like eating kibble and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? Like how much of a big shock would that be to the dogs of like, yo, this kibble sucks. Like, where's my mince? Where's my gooseneck? Where's my duck wing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this kibble? What is this little like kibble that you're feeding me now? You know what I'm talking about? I just like kind of like a culture shock, or more maybe more of like they're fine dining. You know what I'm saying? But then like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have like, he doesn't buy his dogs enough. Let's just say for the food that he gets his dog, he can't get his hands on, but he can get his hands on kibble, and his dogs need to eat, so he feeds them kibble instead, just to hold them over. And the dogs are kind of like picky about it. I don't know. I think that's kind of funny. And so all of that is to say that like, I've become like addicted to watching the dogs eat, and how like fast they'll eat, or how fast they'll eat stuff. I remember I saw this video. This guy fed his dog maybe like a burrito, and the dog literally ate the burrito in 2 seconds. I was like, bro, this is like, the dog didn't even take the time to chew it. It just helped, grabbed it with its mouth, put it in its mouth, chomped it once, I guess, and then swallowed it. Like, it wasn't. It was literally like a 1-2 move. It wasn't. It was so crazy how fast that dog ate it. But anyways, thinking about how like when my dog eats, and I don't know, maybe certain habits are difficult to get over, like um sometimes uh sometimes my dog won't enjoy eating just like out of a straight bowl, because they have those like other bowls that kind of have like those stimulants in it, so it kind of feels like they're stimulated, or they have like a bit of a, not a puzzle, but there's kind of like more texture to eating in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's, how do I put it? It's like you eat out of a spoon, right? But now let's say there was like underneath the spoon, at the bottom of the spoon, let's say there were like bumps on it. And when you eat it, you could feel the bumps like hitting, like when you eat soup and you put the spoon in your mouth or whatever. And then when you take it out to like get the next scoop or whatever, you can feel the bump kind of like having that sort of a texturized, or like a bumpy, kind of a cool sensation, or cool like texture whenever you eat with the spoon, right? And then it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, that's kind of different, I guess, or whatever. I don't know, something like that, where it feels like they can get stimulated while they eat, and it's more of like a, it's not so boring, I guess. And for those dogs, they constantly have to like chomp or chew, or something to really get the full flavor of it. Oh, I also like when the dog eats like a raw egg, he'll put a raw egg on the tray and the dog will like crunch it, and then the egg will like obviously like splurt out, and then the dog will have like half of the egg like out on the tray, and it'll have to like try to scoop it up, but it's like bad at it. So it's trying to scoop it up, scoop it up, scoop it up, eat the eggshell, all that stuff. Like, I think that's kind of funny. I think that's kind of cool to see how certain dogs are. Some dogs can do it, some dogs can't, or how each dog eats differently. And I enjoy that. I think that's pretty cool. And I don't know, it just kind of keeps my head like, oh, there's, so many ways that you can feed your pets, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of opens my eye to it, or I mean, obviously I knew you could feed like chicken to your dog, but it was more so like what's safe, what's not. Is it good if it's raw, if cuz then sometimes I'll look at the dog will be eating, and then they'll maybe eat off the floor, and I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, stay on the tray, stay on the tray, you know what I'm saying? And then when I'm watching it, I'll see the dog like a blueberry will get knocked off the tray, and I'll be like, you better get that blueberry. And then it'll go and get that blueberry, and I'm like, good, good. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? Little things like that that I think is pretty funny. And seeing the difference between seeing his dogs watch the other dogs eat is kind of like it's kind of funny, just because like some dogs will like I guess he'll do put him in like in a rotation, so it'll be like one dog eats, the other dog has to stay behind the fence, and then they come out and then they eat, and so on and so forth. And I imagine it's got to be kind of brutal for the other dog to witness like, well, they're eating and I'm not, and now I have to wait, and it's gonna take forever. And sometimes the dogs will start eating, they'll be so hungry they'll start eating before he like gives them the okay, because he has to give them like the yes. He is going to give them the yes. And then once they get yes, they start eating. And sometimes they'll get like they'll get a bit like, oh, they'll try to sneak in some of the mints, or they'll try to eat early. And sometimes have to be like, hold on, no, no, you can't start yet. And sometimes they'll get away with it, sometimes they won't, or whatnot. But I think it's kind of funny. And yeah, I've just really been absorbing all of that, been really addicted to it. I definitely think that it's kind of like you should definitely give it a watch. It's kind of cool to see and to hear like the ways that they quick how fast they eat, and how much they can take in, I think I do kind of wonder from the dog's perspective how much of it they really like, per se. How much of the food do they really taste? Like, out of because he'll feed his dog like a whole chicken, and I'll be like, I can hear him, the dog or whatever, I can hear the dog crunch the bones of it, but I can't tell if they're really, taking in all the flavor of it. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll kind of be like, but do dogs really take in flavor? Is that really how much flavor does like a raw chicken have, or how much flavor can they really enjoy? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I gave them like hypothetically, if I gave them a lasagna, they wouldn't be able to fully appreciate or enjoy the full flavor of the lasagna as much as you and I would. You know what I'm saying? We would be able to appreciate the beefy, the cheesy, the creaminess of the whatever kind of like that cheese that they put on there, the layers of it. You know what I'm saying? We would be able to appreciate that, but the dogs, they would just eat it pretty quickly, and then you're like, did they even really take in the flavor? It's like that scene in Ratatouille where he's like, "Oh, don't just hork it down. You gotta appreciate the flavors coming together." And that's how I feel sometimes watching the dogs. Is they're like, do they really taste anything? because it's raw. I don't know. He doesn't really season it with it. He doesn't season it at all. So, and then I see the dog will eat like a strawberry, and I'll be like, maybe the dog tastes the strawberry. Out of the whole plate, that strawberry probably is like the sweetest thing on there, and it's probably the most flavorful. Like that's probably the most the dog will like truly appreciate out of like all the other things on there. Maybe the fish has obviously the fish has a fishy flavor to it. Maybe it tastes that, but the raw chicken, I don't know. I can't in 100% certainty feel like they taste all of that. I don't know. I guess it's more so like their taste buds are different than mine, right? So maybe raw chicken to them is like perfect. It's like wow, it's so meaty. There's so much protein. It's got a good flavor to it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like beef or something or a beef bone or whatnot. Although I am curious if they ever do eat a beef bone, maybe as like a treat. I don't know. And then like a raw chicken breast, I'm like, do they taste that as well? They eat it pretty quickly, or the mince and all this other stuff. Like how how do their taste buds work? Do they have high taste buds, or does it not matter? You know what I'm saying? All at the end of the day, all that matters is that they're being fed, they're happy, they're healthy, they're doing well for themselves. So, I guess it just doesn't really matter if it's flavorful or not. It matters that it's like it's good for them, it's healthy, they get to eat, they enjoy it, and that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. They enjoy it. Those dogs enjoy that, the chicken and the mince and the gooseneck and the wings and the rabbit ear and the strawberries and the other fruits and vegetables that get put on there. Like, I think that's cool. So other than that, I mean, when you're addicted to watching dogs eat, I think it's important to study to kind of just learn that there are different ways to feed your dog. You know what I mean? You don't have to follow those rules. You can give your dog like a cooked dog diet, or you can give them like you know, a kibble diet or whatnot. Whatever keeps your dog healthy and happy and they enjoy it and they eat it, you're doing good. So I don't know. I just yeah, I it's my new favorite thing to see whenever it pops up on my feed is that like, oh snap, he's feeding his dog again, and seeing how fast they eat it too is also really cool, and it never gets old. It never gets old. I don't know why. It just doesn't get old, and I like it. So, anyways, you guys should definitely check it out, or like just look up maybe dog eats raw diet or something. I don't know. Dog eats whole chicken or something. I don't know. Something like that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.